We have reached a crucial time in history
where what we do
or don't do
right now
will affect every generation to come.
CORE, create opportunities and restore equality.
We viewed a documentary called Eighth Fire, which aired on CBC this winter to learn about Canadian First Nations peoples. The documentary highlights how Canadian history and present problems are closely intertwined in a cause and effect relationship.
You know, we Aboriginal people thought we were getting a seat at the big table. We got the plague, a plague of whiskey, and our parents and grandparents were molested in schools designed to kill the Indian in the child. So where did all of that go wrong? Well, step into my office, grab a seat on the big couch, and let's talk.
Okay, so my father went to residential school. His father went to residential school. His father didn't go to residential school because he was still an Indian that was like living off the land, that wasn't starting to get grouped up at the time that reservations were being made. My great-great-grandfather was a full-on buffalo hunting Indian. You know what I'm saying? That's only 4 generations. That is not a lot of time. Meanwhile, me, I work on a computer. I'm doing comic books 100% digital. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not using Flint here.
We are 34 million people. We're in competition with countries like China and India with populations that exceed 1 billion. We cannot afford to waste a single talent. And Aboriginal Canadians are not only the fastest growing, they are the youngest members of our society.
For me, we can be a Native person that has a foot in the bush and a foot in the city, but really be who we are and in a modern world and being contemporary and modern.
We read a book entitled Fatty Legs, written by residential school survivors Margaret Pokiak and Fenton and Christy Jordan Fenton. It is the true story of a young Inuit girl, Olimon, and her years spent in Indian residential school.
Indian residential school. More research and learning continued, during which time students learned about the contents of the Indian Act and all of the amendments, as well as the facts about the deplorable treatment of children in Indian residential schools in Canada.
After learning about Indian residential schools, we began decorating tiles for Project of Heart, which is a hands-on, collaborative, intergenerational, interinstitutional, artistic endeavor. Its purpose is to commemorate the lives of the thousands of Indigenous children who died in the residential school system. We are decorating our tiles for children who died at Whitefish Lake Indian Residential School and Joussard Indian Residential School in Alberta. When we are done, an elder will perform a smudge ceremony to cleanse the tiles, and they will be sent to Alberta and used to promote healing and reconciliation for the residential school survivors and their families.
It was the first time in history that the United States took that kind of action because the people demanded it. Not for self-defense, but because it was right. It's hard to look back on some parts of human history, because when we heard about injustice, we cared, but we didn't know what to do. Too often, we did nothing. But if we're going to change that, we have to start somewhere.
After watching the Pony 2012 video, our class brainstormed ways Jason Russell began to create social change. Then we discussed ways we thought we could make a change for the First Nations people living in Canada.
We wanted our ideas to be practical and attainable, but also to reach as wide and broad an audience as possible. We came up with a name, CORE, which stands for Create Opportunities and Restore Equality.
We also developed our action kits, which includes posters we designed on the computer and silkscreened. Some students worked on making stickers, which were stamped from a lino block and printed on sticker paper obtained for free from the Creative Zone. Students also made bracelets from leather samples branded with the core name and logo. Flyers were designed and printed at the school detailing the poor and inequitable living conditions and state of education and healthcare on many reserves in Canada. And a reusable cloth bag was sewn and printed to store all the giveaways that would help make people aware of the need for a change. The first social justice action we wanted to take was to donate our unneeded resources. The grade 6 year will be moving to the local middle school next fall. We wrote a letter to our superintendent, Miss Mason, explaining our project and describing our idea, and asked her if we could donate all our grade 6 resources to a reserve school in need. She came to visit us and hear about our project. Miss Mason completely supported our idea, and we will be giving our resources to Christian Island Elementary School this June.
We have also made action kits for the grade 5 and 6 students in our neighboring elementary schools and will present our project and distribute the action kits on June 13th, a day when our 3 schools will join together to partake in team-building activities.
Also, on June 13th, all 3 schools will be taking part in Our Dreams Matter Too, a walk for culturally based equity for First Nations children. First Nations children get less funding for services like education, health, and child welfare than all other children enjoy. This makes it hard for First Nations children to achieve their dreams and grow up proud of who they are. This walk is to show how many people support First Nations children receiving the same opportunity to succeed as all other children in ways that respect their cultures and languages. The walk culminates with all 300 students mailing letters they have written to the government to help support First Nations children.